There has been a mammoth shakeup in BC's political landscape. The official opposition, BC United, is suspending its campaign and asking supporters to back the BC Conservatives. For his part, United leader Kevin Falcon, the official opposition leader in BC, is stepping down. We will have extensive coverage of our top story tonight. We're going to go first to a little bit of analysis from Gerald Byer. He watched as we took the news conference with John Rustad and Kevin Falcon live. We spoke with him earlier in our CBC News special coverage this afternoon and asked him what he thinks of this move.
It was a tough choice, obviously, for Falcon. Tough personally, probably. He's giving up his own ambitions. Tough interpersonally for the candidates and fellow members of caucus that he's had to let down. He's going to, step away, probably. I don't think there's a lot of opportunity for him to shape what this Conservative Party looks like, even though he's kind of helping them along. What the character of the Conservative Party is going to be isn't necessarily changed overnight. Some of the contest here is now changed. It's a bimodal contest really now between the NDP and the BC Conservatives. But the BC Conservatives are not suddenly more moderate because of this change. Their positions are what they had. You saw Mr. Rustad had an opportunity to address climate change issues. He did not. He kind of evaded the question. Talked about the positions of the party are essentially the same. So as voters get to know those, there's certainly lots of folks who are going to support that. But I think the alternatives will become much clearer now for voters in British Columbia as we progress and march toward that October election date.
Kevin Falcon asked about the fact that some staffers within BC United did not know about this decision. Him saying, I apologize, I couldn't bring them into the fold, and because he said we were not certain we would get to a good conclusion on this. What does that say about the state of the party, do you think?
I think there were negotiating needs that he had in mind, not making sure to kind of, hold his cards close to his chest. There's going to be a lot of people burned, both candidates and staff. They're going to feel burned about their experience in politics, about their loyalty to whatever alternative now exists, who they're going to work for in the future. I think there'll be unhappy people in the Conservative Party too, as the sort of candidate sorting process takes place and they figure out who's going where. So I think in a lot of ways, this is not easy for a lot of people. It was never going to be easy once the election was over. There were going to be people who no longer were in staff positions, no longer, in the legislature. But for sure, today's a bad day for a lot of folks because of the decisions of, the elites and the top people in their political parties.
Gerald Byer, UBC political scientist, we always appreciate your insight. Thank you very much for joining us. And rest assured, we will be coming back to you as we head toward October 19th. Thanks again, Jerry.
My pleasure, Dan.
The CBC's Liam Britton now with the stunning fall of one party and the rise of another.
Just 16 months ago, Kevin Falcon and the BC Liberals changed their party name to BC United, hoping a rebrand would help them win October's provincial election.
Changing the party name is something that we need to look at, and we need to make a decision as a party.
But with less than 2 months before Election Day, that effort is now over.
There is nothing more important to me, and my children and your children and grandchildren, that we not give the NDP one more day in power than they absolutely have to have.
Amid low polling and fundraising challenges, BC United is suspending its campaign and asking supporters to back the BC Conservative Party and leader John Rustad. United is withdrawing its candidates' nominations, and Kevin Falcon is no longer running. The move comes after earlier attempts at some kind of merger fell flat.
This is hard. It's really hard.
Falcon says party supporters and donors sent him a clear message.
We were struggling on the financial fundraising side. Yes, I do acknowledge that. They were saying to me is, we're not going to support any of you guys until you figure out how to make sure you don't split the vote.
Conservative leader John Rustad says the parties will work together to field the best slate of candidates to deny the NDP another term.
When 1 in 3 British Columbians are thinking about leaving this province, when 1 in 2 youth are thinking about leaving this province, That says something very strongly about the despair that this province has realizing under an NDP government.
Now, this could be seen as the culmination of the resurgence of the Conservative Party. In the last election, they were basically a fringe party, getting less than 2% of the vote. But this time, they are at least set to be the unquestioned standard bearers on the right of the political spectrum. An August 20th Main Street poll pegs support for the Conservatives at 36%, well ahead of United at 10% and 3 points above the NDP. However, poll aggregator 338 Canada projected, as of August 14th, the NDP had a 79% chance of winning the most seats. And still, given the withdrawal of BC United, those results may no longer be accurate. The Premier argues the choice between BC United and the Conservatives wasn't a stark one anyway.
We know what John Rustad has planned. Deep cuts to the healthcare system. They're going to make waits longer and healthcare worse. And he's done it before. He's going to do it again.
What exactly happens next is still unclear. Falcon didn't say BC United is dissolving. Both he and Rustad say talks around policy are still to come, as well as which BC United candidates, if any, will run under the Conservative banner. Both parties have dozens already nominated.
We are going to be going through a process between the two parties to make decisions as to who would be the best to be able to field to bring an end to David Eby and the destruction he's bringing to British Columbia.
Falcon and Rustad say the most important reason to put their differences aside is to try and slam the door on David Eby and his New Democrats.
And Liam Britton joins us now with more. Liam, BC United raised money for its campaign war chest like most parties. What happens to that cash now?
Well, that's a question several reporters asked at today's event. Kevin Falcon says BC United will use its money to pay vendors, settle debts, and pay staff from its operations. And Elections BC confirmed to us that United cannot just transfer money, property, or services to another party. John Rustad says the Conservatives will have a final list of candidates ASAP, and voices from both parties will be at the table. The deadline for candidates to change party or declare as independents is September 28th. The election is October 19th, Dan.
Liam Britton, thanks very much.